Warren Buffett says he's owned 400 to 500 stocks in his lifetime, but only made significant money on about 10 of them. In the 6th chapter of his book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel says, tails, you win. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune. He talks about the world's best art dealers, and art seems to be so subjective. How do you determine which artist is going to have his artwork millions of dollars versus a typical artist whose artwork is worth virtually nothing? And what they found out is the very successful art dealers are the ones who bought a whole lot of art. They basically diversified. They bought art from all different kinds of artists, and probably 99% of what they bought was worth almost nothing. But that 1%, the Picassos that ended up being worth millions of dollars, much more than made up for the 99% that was worthless. Some people would call that luck. Others would call that skill. But there's many things in business and investing that are really that way. The more shots you take, the better chance you have of making one. Think about if you're a basketball player, maybe you're a decent player, maybe you're not. Are you going to have a better chance of hitting a half-court shot if you take one half-court shot or if you take 100? The more shots you take, the better chance you have of scoring. I think this is one of the arguments for buying an ETF, like a Vanguard Total Index, or a lot of people buy an S&P 500 index. I like VTI even better because it's so highly diversified that it's basically tracing nearly the whole market. He points out that the Russell 3000 increased more than 73-fold since 1980, 73 times its investment as a whole, even with all those companies going to zero. Napoleon's definition of a military genius was the man who can do the average thing when all those around him are going crazy. That's in many ways the way it is for financial investing. Can you do the average thing while everyone else around you is going crazy? Let other people be dominated by fear, be dominated by greed, but can you be consistent? Can you invest for the long haul? Realizing you don't have to be right every time. You can be wrong a lot. But if you let your winners run long, if you look at the stock market as a whole, it's remarkable the wealth that it can build for you. And he points out that Sue, who just keeps investing every single month, rain or shine, ends up with about $436,000. Jim, who seems to time it pretty well, ends up with $257,000. Tom, of course, only $234,000. So Sue wins by a mile, right? She wins by a lot. He says there are 1,428 months between 1900 and 2019. Just over 300 of them were during a recession. But by keeping her cool during that 22% of the time the economy was in or near a recession, she ends up with 3/4 more money than Jim or Tom. And he gives numerous examples of just being consistent, being diversified, investing for the long haul,